Hello my dear ones, Rebels and the Raj. We discussed the first part yesterday. Today we are discussing about the second part of the chapter. And in your NCERT, you can see the pages from 289 to 297. Pages 289 to 297, which I am discussing with you. The rebels, the mutineers, they came to Bahadur Shah Zafar that now they are fed up of this rule and now they want a mutiny. They wanted to be organized and revolt against the misadministration, the maladministration of the company. So the common people, they joined the mutineers, although in the mutiny, particularly the soldiers, because yesterday I gave you the examples that in Barakpur, Bengal, the mutineers, they refused to use the grease cartridges because it could damage their religion. They were greased with the fat of cow and pig. 2 months later, on 10th May, that we discussed yesterday, it began in Meerut and then it took the shape of the first war of India's independence. So the common people, the ordinary people, they joined the mutineers. Why? The reason was that this was the period when there was lots of illiteracy in the country, although there was a very great deal of Hindu-Muslim unity, but there were dogmas, there was superstition. Dogmas means blind faiths. There were superstitions. People used to believe in omens. People used to, O-M-E-N means some tricks and some miracles. They considered that the 100 years of the company have been just, they have been completed. They are just to complete from 1757 to 1857, and obviously the things after 100 years they get destroyed. So without any preparation, and they were with the mutineers because so many things were there that enraged them. For example, they thought that whatever social evils were prevailing at that time, and whatever Western culture, the Western civilization that was spreading in the country, ordinary people thought that it was an attempt to demolish, it was an attempt to destroy their own culture, because at that time Satya system, Parda system, female infanticide, polygamy, all these social evils were going on. And during the time of Lord William Bentinck, these traditions, they were attacked upon, and Western culture and Western ways of life that were taught to the people. So ordinary people thought that actually it was an attempt to destroy, to demolish their culture. So they also joined the mutineers. Correct? Then students, there is reference of Maulvi Ahmadullah. Particularly this reference is given by the historians and by the writers because this was the mutiny where there was a great deal of Hindu-Muslim unity. And people, they had their own leaders in their own regions and they were demanding the end of the British Raj. There were certain rumors and prophecies also. Certain rumors, certain prophecies were there. For example, one of the rumors we have talked about yesterday, that was grease cartridges, and actually later on it was known that it was a reality. Then there was a rumor that the flour, the wheat flour that the Indians were purchasing from the market, British officials have knowingly mixed the powder of the bones of cow and pig in the wheat flour. The powder of the bones of cows and pigs that was mixed in the wheat flour. So there was a rumor. So this rumor also spread very widely, and ordinary people and the other, they readily joined the mutineers. So the size of the mutiny became very enlarged. About the doctrine of lapse, I told you yesterday that the doctrine of lapse that was introduced in India, and all the kings, all the rulers of that time, like this was the Rani of Jhansi, Lakshmi Bai, she came under that trap that if there is rule of any adopted son going on, or if any of the ruler, they are planning to do this, that territory would be automatically annexed by the British. I also explained you the meaning of annexation. So, continuing with that topic, annexation policies of the Britishers, like doctrine of lapse, that no Indian ruler could adopt a child if they were without a child, and if there is a rule of the adopted sons, adopted heir, that would be automatically taken over. Annexation. Another way of annexing the Indian states was subsidiary alliance. So it is very properly given in the pages 295 to 96 of your NCERT, the subsidiary alliance system. Britishers made it very clear, and they prepared this subsidiary alliance system, telling the people about certain rules and regulations. And first of all, it was imposed on Awadh. Why? Because Dalhousie had once said that this is a cherry that will fall in our mouth a day. It is a cherry, a fruit that would fall in our mouth a day. Why? Because Awadh was a very, very fertile area. Indigo, cotton, that was grown very widely in this region, and this is what the Britishers wanted. This is what they wanted to take advantage of. So the subsidiary alliance system, you get this long answer. What do you mean by subsidiary alliance? So it was a method adopted by the Britishers to annex the Indian territories without war, without any battle, without any attack, because that could defame the picture, defame the image of the Britishers in the world. So just see what type of alliance was this and how clever the British officials and the British Governor Generals were. According to the subsidiary alliance, the state, the Indian state that would join the subsidiary alliance, that would sign the subsidiary alliance, would be protected in return by the Britishers from any external or internal disturbance. Got it? Whoever ruler would sign the subsidiary alliance, Britishers would protect that particular territory, particular ruler against any internal or external disturbance or revolt. Correct? The second point of the subsidiary alliance was that an armed contingent will be established, will be stationed in that particular region by the British, and that should be ready at any time whenever Britishers wanted it. See the clever act of the Britishers, that how they wanted to annex the Indian states. So an armed contingent will be established, a troop, that is TROOP, troop will be stationed in that particular region, particular state, and that would be fed by the local ruler. All the expenditure would be done by the local ruler that would sign the subsidiary alliance. Then the ally, ALLY, ally means the ruler or that the head of that particular state, the Raja of that particular state, that would accept the subsidiary alliance. So ally means join the British. Ally, alignment, aligned. So the ally, that is Awadh, would provide all the resources to the Britishers. Whatever resources are there in that particular region and in that ally, that would provide resources. So you can see everywhere Britishers they are interested in their own profit, in their own betterment. So ally will provide all the resources to them. And see the final one, the final point, that if that particular ruler who has signed the subsidiary alliance with the Britishers, the particular ruler would not ally with any other ruler of India, would not make any alliance with any other ruler of India without the permission of the Britishers. Means separate. They could not ally with the other rulers. So remain isolated, remain separate, and that would become very easy for the Britishers to annex it. So this I told you today about the subsidiary alliance. Go through these topics. Tomorrow we will further discuss about what happened during the rebel, during the mutiny, and what were its aftermath. Thank you, students.